brother, go and put your men on the boundary line. And if you give we a liquor, that is merely a hiccup. Look, you win the little battle, you lose the war. It's the same result every time. Everybody sing. Here come the West Indies. Here come the West Indies. Them rude boys gonna get you by degrees. Here come the West Indies. I tell you now, here come the West Indies. Here come the West Indies. Them bad boys gonna bring you to your knees. Here come the West Indies. Special request to the Trini posse. And what about the Guyana posse? And what about the Jamaica posse? World. Now the rule seems coming to an end, but down here, just a chink in the armor is enough to lose a friend. Some of the old generals have retired and gone, and the runs don't come as they did before. But when the Crusaders go, don't you know the desert is come? We've lost the battle, but yet we will win the war. As long as we rally round the West Indies, one forever. Rally round the West Indies, never say never. Pretty soon the runs are gonna flow again like water, bringing so much joy to each and every son and daughter. Say we gonna rise again like a raging fire. As the sun shines, you know we gon' take it higher. We gotta rally round the West Indies, one forever, yes. Rally round the West Indies, stoke up the fire. Way down under, a warrior falls. Michael holding falls in the heat of the battle. Michael should have left long time. I heard an angry brother shout, Caribbean man, that is the root of our trouble. Oh, in these tiny theaters of conflict and confusion, better known as the Isles of the West Indies. We already know who brought us here and who created this confusion. So I'm begging my people, please. Oh, we got to rally from the West Indies, now and forever. Yeah. Rally from the West Indies, stoke up the fire. Pretty soon the runs are gonna flow again like water, bringing so much joy to each and every son and daughter. Say we gonna rise again like a raging fire. As the sun shines, you know we gonna take it higher. What we got to what? Rally round the West Indies, one forever, yeah. Rally round the West Indies, never say never. Now they're making restrictions and laws to spoil our beauty, but in the end, we shall prevail. This is just not cricket. This thing goes beyond the boundary. It's up to you and me to make sure that they fail. Soon we must take a side or be lost in the rubble in a divided world that don't need islands no more. Are we doomed forever to be at somebody's mercy? Little keys can open up mighty doors. Rally, rally from the West Indies, one forever, yes. Rally, rally from the West Indies, never say never, no. Pretty soon the runs are gonna flow again like water, bringing so much joy to each and every son. We're gonna rise again like a raging fire. After sunshine, you know we gonna take it higher. What we got to what? Rally, rally around the West Indies, now and forever.
Oh yes, rally around the West Indies. The voice there and lyrics of David Michael Rudder. David Michael Rudder, the anthem of West Indies cricket, and I would say the anthem of the West Indies, period. In these tiny acres of conflict and confusion, better known as the Isles of the West Indies. We already know who brought us here and who created this confusion. So I'm begging my people to please rally around the West Indies. Now they're making laws and restrictions to spoil our beauty, but in the end, we shall prevail. This is not just cricket. This thing goes beyond the boundary. It is up to you and me to make sure that they fail. Soon we must take a side or be lost in the rubble. In a divided world that don't need islands no more. Are we doomed forever to be at somebody's mercy? Little keys can open up mighty doors. More than a cricket anthem, I would say the anthem of our Caribbean. The penmanship of David Michael Rudder, one of the classic coming out of our region. I dare say that when God was giving gifts to people around the world, he gave us some tremendous gifts. Our people coming out of enslavement and indentureship and colonialism. Little black and brown boys with a bat or a ball in hand, they became and become geniuses. In a game that was not created to empower us, a game that was created to further disempower us. And we've turned that game into an empowering medium, an empowering tool in our hands. Good evening to all of you, wherever you're joining us from. All of you cricket fans, it's a good afternoon, a good evening to be a West Indian. We just did something rare in recent times, but not new to us as West Indians. We won a series against South Africa 3-0. 3-0 today at Sabina Park. The boys completed a 3-0 victory against South Africa. It's good to be West Indian. It's good to be Caribbean. Some may say, well, it's just a second string team from South Africa, but it's also a second string team from our West Indies. And we won convincingly. And in a world that don't need islands no more, whenever we in the islands strike a blow for victory of any kind, we must be proud. Oh yes, the glory days of the mid-1970s to the mid-1990s are gone. Some say may never come back again. But at least we made our mark and we left something in the annals of history, that our young boys and girls can look back and say, we once did it. And where there is history of achievement, there's always hope for the future. There's always hope for the future. Our congratulations to the boys today, coming on the heels of what the young ladies did against Pakistan. We can only be proud. These are not the days for us to talk about turning the corner anymore, because every time we talk about turning the corner, we have to walk back. But on this eve of the T20 World Cup, a resounding victory against South Africa, we must be proud. We must be proud. We have always thanked God for small mercies. And when the small mercies come in big chunk, I remember B.L. Crombie used to say, good things come wrapped in small packages. Some of you young people will know about B.L. Crombie. He was the fastest reader of the news. He used to read the sports news in 5 minutes. It take no mortal men 15 minutes to read it. And he always said, good things come wrapped in small packages. And for us in the Caribbean, good things always come in small packages, wrapped in small packages. Sometimes the packages are big, and we thank God for it. It's good to be West Indian. Please share the link and let everyone know that the discussion cricket is on tonight. My guests, the usual gang, Basil Butcher Jr. and Vincent Adams. Basil is here, and we are ready to go. I want to thank all of you regulars, for coming on tonight. As I was remarking to Basil before we came on air, that the boys finish it in time for us to have a 6 o'clock start. Blazing knock by Johnson Charles of St. Lucia, and finished off, of course, by Brandon King and Kyle Mears. Earlier today, early in the innings, we saw Gudakesh Moti and our own Gudakesh Moti and Shamar Joseph leading the bowling attack. And of course, the good news for Obed McCoy, bad news for Jason Holder, who has been sidelined by injury, and so he's been replaced by Obed McCoy. McCoy picked up 3 wickets today and looked good. Some people may say, well, a like for like should have meant Kyle Mears coming in for Holder, but they opted for a bowler for bowler and not an all-rounder for all-rounder. We'll have our experts tonight weigh in on that. Moti picked up 8 wickets in the series. For me, he's the man of the series, although I think Brandon King, with his consistency, may get it. But I think Moti. What this means is quite a headache for the selectors, because Ruston Chase certainly is our leading spinner in terms of performance. And now Moti, one is asking, is there a place for the front runner before the series? Akil Hussain. He looked a little bit out of sorts during the series, but we will talk about all of that. Calcutta Knight Riders, the team that include Sully Narain, Shafin Rutherford, and Andre Russell. They easily won the final today in the IPL against Sunrisers Hyderabad. Rajasthan Royals, the team of Ed Hetmeyer and Captain Powell, were early favorites, but then faded away towards the end of the tournament, and they were beaten in the semifinals, and so they didn't make the finals. I think the second year in running, maybe the third year in running. Basil is the man with all of those stats. Will tell us what happened there. An interesting game yesterday between the Royals and Sunrisers, and I don't know. I to watch Hetmeyer batting at 7 and or 6, and Powell batting at 7. I can't help but thinking that the Indians are looking after Indian interests. If they wanted to win that game, in my view, somebody like Hetmeyer with the two left arm spinners should have been sent up much earlier. Some may say, well, he was bowled by a left arm spinner. Well, good ball, but had he come up the order and created some havoc up there, then that ball may not have been possible. That's the game of cricket. But I really think this season, both Hetmeyer and Powell were wasted by Rajasthan Royals. I'm tempted to say this is not cricket, this is business and self-interest. But that's me. That's me. That's me. I'm gonna have the experts weighing on that. So let's bring in Mr. Butcher, Basil Butcher Jr. Basil needs no introduction. He's the go-to comments man, not just for this program, but for other cricket programs. On Basil, good evening.
Good evening, Dr. Hines. Good evening to all your viewers.
It's good to see cricket back at Sabina Park, but more than that, it's good to see the crowds out.
Yeah,
that for me was a big deal. Go over to
you. They had some decentish crowds. It's like the Jamaicans coming out of the freezer, back into the cricket bar, to get into that routine of international cricket at Sabina Park. So that's a good thing, because we always have to remember Jamaica's population is half of the English-speaking Caribbean, and to shut out half of our population is not something in our best interest. So it was good on the Cricket West Indies to stage those games, all those games in Jamaica. Also, earlier this year, they staged all of Jamaica's home games in the first class season in Jamaica, as well as some other matches, which was good to bring that cricket vibe back to Jamaica.
Basil, you know your way around. Of course, you come from royalty. Not only you have the name of your father, you're not just your father's son, but you carry his name. You carry his name, and so there are things that you will know and get to know, and that the rest of us mere mortals may not get to know. What was the problem with Jamaica and the staging of West Indies cricket there? And you hear all kinds of stories. Talk to us.
Yeah, because this was a controversy, and I'm gonna repeat what I heard from Jamaicans who in the know there spoke in the public. I remember Dr. Mansingh, as well as Chris Derrin, being on a radio program, and this was the topic. As to why Jamaica had not made a bid, and they gave the several reasons, and it would seem in a nutshell, it would seem this government does not see cricket, or has not been convinced that cricket is a worthy thing to invest in. Because you even heard the CPL CEO said, we too have not done a good enough job to convince this government how valuable having cricket in Jamaica could be to the economy, etc., etc. So that remains, and some want to blame the local association have not been able to convince the government, and so on and so forth. But as Darren, to quote Darren pointed out, because this was another time Darren and the former President Cameron were on, and they both agreed. If you say track and field, the government can throw the money at it, but they don't see the value in cricket. And he used an example. The last World Championship track and field that was in the United States at the time, the one in the United States. NBC Sports said that they had a record viewership of 10 million. No, in a Cricket World Cup, you talking hundreds of millions, not 10 million, right? So that alone, you in the Caribbean, we will never be able to stage a soccer World Cup, an Olympics, even a track and field, anything of that sort. The closest we will get to that is Cricket World Cup, right? And the viewership around the world would bring the value. I hear the CWI are estimating somewhere in the vicinity of 300 million in direct economic benefits to the region from this World Cup. So Jamaica, to me, they on the outside looking in, and it's unfortunate.
It's unfortunate, but it is good to see the Jamaicans out there and having a good time, really, really capturing the spirit of West Indies cricket once again. Before we get to the series, they just concluded 3-match series against South Africa. Let's talk a little bit about what I refer to as the anticlimax in the IPL. I made some observations in my introduction.
Yeah.
To me, this final, Calcutta deserved to win, but to me, it didn't really reflect the dynamics of the IPL. Talk to us about your thoughts on the IPL overall this year.
I'm gonna say this up front. I'm not a big fan of the IPL. Never have been. I only started looking at games intently was when Mr. Hetmeyer got to Delhi Capitals, because I got a crew of friends that worship Hetmeyer, and I wanted to make sure when they come into our chat with their worshiping stuff, I got my facts to push back if they come wrong. So as a result, I started watching regularly. What I would say this, I think for one, the IPL is too long. I think the number of games is too long. I, as a cricket fan, after about 5 rounds, I get bored, because you're seeing a monotony. Is the same thing, I mean, the T20 game almost has gotten to where the tactics and all of that, they become so predictable, right? Like if you as a batter batting, the field set a certain way, the big side of the field or the wind or whatever, you know already where the ball is going to be bowled, right? And as a cricket fan, you're looking, now it's, can the guy bowl the ball in the right area to prevent that? You're not seeing the options that bring more dynamic in the game. Others might say different. Another thing I didn't like is this year seeing these scores of almost 300 runs. The bowlers, great top bowlers getting smashed around the park like little club bowlers. Tells me that the game is somewhat weighted too much towards batters. Maybe you gotta get some pitches that got a little something in it to make to even out this balance between bat and ball. And since the IPL, for one, have added up in their playing conditions the super impact player, something I have always been advocating for in the cricket laws, I believe should be changed, is a bowler should be able to pitch the ball outside leg and get LBW.
Yeah.
I think whenever that was created, how much, 100 odd years ago, is irrelevant today. If you could pitch outside the off and get somebody LB, why you can't pitch outside the leg and get somebody LB? That would keep the batters more on their toes, give the bowlers more options, bring more balance into the game, and it would upskill the players, because now you as a player, when a guy pitch outside leg, he can still get you out. So you gotta be able to combat both outside your off stump and outside your leg stump. You know, I agree with you too. This final was anticlimactic. You know, it's almost like the IPL was just like a marathon runner struggling to get to the finish line. You know, and something I'm very disappointed in with the BCCI, etc., is we have our marquee event, the World Cup, and you playing so close to the start of the World Cup, right? The teams together, because for example, this series that we're going to talk about, had they done this different, this could have been a series with the full World Cup squads really getting into to play games where they're fine-tuning for when they roll out into the World Cup. Yeah, you know, so that I was very disappointed with, that it seems to me, they seem to think, it would seem from outside looking in, that the IPL is more important than the World Cup.
Yes, and your thoughts on, I mean, look, I don't mind India looking out for India.
Yes.
I don't mind that. But to me, they've went overboard during this IPL. I think more foreign players, in particular our West Indian players, could have been given more opportunities. Joseph played one game. I mean, somebody of the caliber of Shervin Rutherford. I mean, yes, KKR won. They've been winning. But my God, you couldn't give him one game?
I agree. I mean, look at Alzari Joseph.
Yes.
He did not start well. After the 3 games, he never got a chance to play again. I thought that you know, for the Hetmeyer fans, I have felt that, you know, they would tell me, yeah, you see, he's making big money, but he has become almost like a designated hitter, like we have in baseball. Even down to the last couple of games he played, he wasn't even fielding. And Hetmeyer is known as a good fielder, right? So I have to question how they're using this guy. And then when he comes to the West Indies team, is he going to be playing the same role that he was playing in the IPL, right? And that's from a West Indian perspective. I want to know if he would be capable of playing a different role, because we have seen in recent times when Hetmeyer got a bat any length of time, it seems that he's not able to concentrate for long because he's been pigeonholed in this 7-ball guy or 10-ball guy, come at the bottom, swing for the fences. But if he has to come into a game where he has to negotiate and craft an inning, because he's not doing that, seems that those skills have eroded, in my opinion.
Yeah, I know. I can't help but agree with your last point there, because I hear people say Hetmeyer has lost form. I do not think Hetmeyer's problem is form. I think Hetmeyer's problem is exactly what you have said there. He has been reduced to what you and I, when we were small guys, we call VOOP.
Yes.
Remember? He's been reduced to a VOOPer. And so when he comes and he has to play proper cricket, he's out of sorts. And I think that is what the problem is, not that he has lost form. No. And IPL and to some extent the other leagues, they've destroyed somebody like Hetmeyer. And the added problem is that he does not have, to my mind, I hope he develops it going wrong, but he doesn't have the capacity to recognize the overall picture and to think about the West Indies, even as he's making money and he's manipulated, and they want him to be a VOOPer. He doesn't have the capacity to recognize how that may be intentional or unintentional way of killing West Indies cricket, and to be able to make the adjustment. So I think it's a kind of an awareness on his part. I think of Vivian Richards, for example, with his political awareness, would have seen what the Indians are doing, right? Would have played along there, but would have had the awareness to recognize that he's more valuable to West Indies cricket. And instead of stiffing West Indies cricket, stiff them, right? And I don't think Etmire and this generation has that. And I'm using political here, not in party political. You told me you studied political science, so you know. I'm using here a small p, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't have that political awareness,
That awareness
to be able to maneuver the stuff.
Yeah, I think that the money part, you know, people would say yes, Hetmai is doing well with making money and so on, but Hetmai is still a very young man, and I think I would want to. I'm wondering now, are they going to offer him the same kind of money to play that role that they've pigeonholed? Because when I see people sending Ashwin to bat before Hetmire, and you know, because I don't look at all the games, I went back and checked. Last year, Ashwin there were times they did the same thing with Hetmire last year. So, what are you to me? What message are you sending to me, Hetmire? I am not capable of negotiating those situations. You have to send a guy who is a bowler that can bat before me. I'm a frontline batsman, right? All these tactics and, you know, these matchup things and so on and so forth. I think sometimes the IPL is so data driven. It's the most data driven cricket league in the world, and I think at times coaches, captains make decisions too much on quote unquote data, and not reflecting on the intangibles that data could not pick up. Because, for example, if I know a guy, you watching a guy in practice, and you see him playing against certain bowling, well, he's really getting on with it in practice. And then the situation come in a game, the data says, you know, against left-handers, he's not so well, but in the practice, you could see, you know, that the confidence is there. You go against the data and put the guy in. A good player supposed to be playing, has to be able to play all kinds of bowling as a batter. A bowler like today now, when you're off spinner, they don't want you bowling to right-handers. It's a disadvantage. That's something that was never heard of. If you're off spinner, you learn to out right and left-handers, not just bowling to left-handers. And they have, to me, this data thing can work to diminish skills at one hand and not help to develop as well-rounded players. And that comes into play also because, like a player like Hetmire, he doesn't have a large background of playing first-class red ball cricket. So a lot of those skills that would have been fundamental to him, that he could make adjustments on the fly and so on and so forth, may not be part of his makeup. So the teams will say, you know what, we're going to send you in where you ain't got to think about it at all. Just come in and swing, because when you hit it, it stays hit, right? And Ricky Ponting started doing that with him when he was playing with the Delhi team, and he professed him and said loudly, "Oh, Ricky Ponting is gonna make me the best finisher," and went along with it, and not seeing the larger picture.
Yeah.
You know.
That
would diminish the skills, and as an international player, how do you go from that to the international team, and if they have a different role for you, right? How do you fulfill that role?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I suppose we're talking about admire, but that thing affects all of our
Yeah, of
cricketers.
course.
Somebody like Puran is making a lot of runs, so in a sense, we don't have to talk about Puran in the same way because he's making runs. And if you're making runs, I
Mhm,
mean, you don't get to go under the guillotine in the same way as
mhm,
others who are not making runs.
mhm.
I feel that Puran ought to bat higher for
I agree.
Lucknow, than where he's batting. But he has taken his opportunity and opportunities, and he has made a lot of runs. The
Now, the question
audience,
you asked though with Puran, I remember watching the game. I think it was the first game they were playing, and Matthew Hayden and two other commentators, former players, were livid that Puran was not sent into bat at 3. And Matthew Hayden gave his litany listing why Puran should be batting at 3. And even to the point when they had a chance to interview Langer, the coach, Matthew Hayden went right at him in a very stern way, disagreeing for him not putting Puran. And Langer thing was, well, we feel that Puran could win the game from any one of these positions. So we're gonna put him in the latest position we feel he could win the game from. Now maybe if you had sent it up higher, who knows? Maybe they win more games because they
win
did
more
not
games.
qualify. Did not qualify for the playoff. Puran bats at number 3 for the West Indies in international cricket, and Puran in the last year or so has become one of the most dominant T20 batters. That you're gonna think like this? Come on! I mean, I think sometimes I think these coaches outthink situations, overthink situations, and rather than, man, this guy got certain abilities. He's a match winner. We can send him to bat at number 3. Let him give him enough balls, and then he could accelerate through the inning. Because that's Puran. And you remember when we were playing against India? Was it last year? India were hiding certain bowlers from Puran. He kept left-handed spinners out of the game when he was batting. The particular one, Aksar Patel, they would not bowl him when Puran was batting. And that kind of play, you don't wait and send him at 5. I disagree with Langer there. I agree with Hayden, but that's IPL for you. You seen it over and over in the way they would get these particularly West Indian batters when they bring them in. Lots of them, they put them in all these crazy positions to in roles that they're not fulfilling when they play for West Indies, into a different role. They feel, we can mold them into this role for this team.
Basil Butcher Jr. here tonight on Cricket, West Indies Cricket 101, Sunday night. And the West Indies won the 3-match series against South Africa this evening in Jamaica. 3-0. 3-0, something rare for us. But really, since the last T20 World Cup, Basil, I think we've played 5 series. We won 4 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it doesn't register in the same way because we are not accustomed to winning. And you would imagine that if we're not accustomed to winning when we win, people will notice it. But in
Mm-hmm.
this case, we are not accustomed to winning. We are so up and down that even when we are doing fairly well, it is not obvious. Your general thoughts on this series against South Africa, and then we'll get into some specifics.
I think one of the things I noticed in the series is obviously they have a style of play in which they want to play going forward, which would start with the World Cup. Uh, for example, going very hard in the power play, and you saw that in all 3 of the matches. They really made a deliberate attempt to really go hard, and even try to the other area they've said they need to improve is between 7 and 15.
Yes.
One of the data points I understand is that they don't want to have more than 15 dot balls is the maximum they want to have in that period, because that's like when you look at the best teams in the world, all of them are at 15 and lower through 15. So you saw them making a conscious effort to do so in this game. The other thing you also saw is that because this dead bowling thing is, we don't have a person like a Dwayne Bravo anymore, right? Somebody we know every time we throw the ball to him, what we getting from him, right? We have a lot of up and down guys. So one of the things I've noticed, they're looking to bowl spinners even in the dead bowlers, in the dead overs, right? So those are some wrinkles that you saw them, you seen like they're thinking in going into the World Cup. That's why when I seen something like that, that tells me I feel they're gonna always play at least 3 spinners. Today they played 4. Right? At least 3 spinners, because particularly the 3 games they're playing in Guyana and Trinidad, that would lend it to playing at least 3 spinners, and the 3 seamers, Russell, one of the Josephs, and Shepard, right? Because Shepard helps to lengthen the batting lineup, which would allow you to go harder. The longer your batting lineup, it allows you to go hard.
Don't go too fast, because we're coming to the team.
All right.
Don't go too fast. Let's talk about some individual performances in this series. And let's start with Moti. And Dr. Adams is not here. I think he's having some technical difficulties. He didn't have Moti in his team. I did. I think you did.
Yeah, I have Moti in my team.
Right. Moti's performance, and you mentioned 4 spinners. Moti's performance in this series, has he moved at the top of the pack?
I would not say just yet that he has moved to the top of the pack, because Akil Hussein is still ranked number 3 in the world in T20. He didn't have as well a series in this series.
One wicket.
Yeah, 1 wicket.
Moti 8.
And one of the things with Akil Hussein, one thing we have to always remember, he bowls in the power play. Moti usually does not bowl in the power play. So Moti is a guy, when he bowls in conditions that are helpful, he is even more so of a handful. And this wicket was assisting the West Indies spinners. Even this guy Fabian Allen had the ball turning big.
Yes, big,
and he is not, to me, had never been recognized as a huge spinner of the ball, But all kudos to Moti, because Moti is saying that you have to keep me in full mind if you're gonna make a decision to play one of the 2 left arm spinners. But I expect Moti to be played along with Hussein in this World Cup 11, because they have different roles to play in this team. People might look at them as being rivals per se, but I don't think they're rivals. I think they have different roles to play. Moti, for the most part, is going to be bowling between the 7 and 15, the middle overs, and he's a wicket taker, so you can push back the team by taking wickets in those crucial middle overs. That when you get to the last 5, you have advantage where you can't get they can't damage you as much, as you saw with the South Africans when they got to the last 5 overs. Generally in this series, they didn't have a lot of wickets in hand, so the damage was minimal that they can do to you in the last 5, and that's where Moti becomes very important. because he's shown a penchant to take wickets in the middle overs.
To take wickets in middle overs. One of the things, and I want to get your view on this, one of the things that I've noticed about Moti, not just in this series, but and not just in T20, even in first class cricket and ODIs, is that he now varies his pace more than he did. He flights the ball a little bit more now, hangs it in the air more, because to me he was a kind of on the wood left arm spinner. You would remember Derek Underwood, who was he died recently.
Yes, he died recently.
A bad wicket left arm.
That them used to call him on the pants.
And so I want to comment on that aspect of Moti's game.
I remember the one test match he played in Australia this past series. And the former Australian off spinner Kerry O'Keefe was on commentary. And Moti bowled his first over. And with each ball, you heard Kerry O'Keefe gushing of how the subtle changes in pace and variety that he bowled with each ball.
Yeah.
Right? And that is a skill that Moti has seemed to have developed a lot more, which will be very good. I always, whenever I talk to spinners in terms of the development, I always tell them one of the things you want, because as a spinner, you have not to say fast bowlers are not outfoxing the batter, but you have to do it with more guile than a fast bowler. They can do it with out and out pace and what have you. They have that weapon there. But you have to use different loops, different speeds. And one of the things I always say, if you can bowl at different speeds, the same loops, or different loops at different speeds, and land the ball in general the same area, you got the batter off balance. Right? And one of the things about Moti as a spinner, he spins the ball.
Yes, he does.
Moti spins the ball, right? So he's not a guy who can give you straight ball and not much spin, and you ain't gotta look for turn. He spins the ball. He has a good faster ball as well, this guy's, so I think Moti has all the tools, and it's just about him just continue to be consistent in doing so. And in this T20 game is a very volatile game. One day you're looking good, the next day you go for 40, 50 runs, right? So those are things you mentally as a bowler, you got to be able to put every time, each ball, put it behind you, every ball. Just like, I often say this from using baseball parlance, if cricketers, bowlers, apparently those who played in the T20 game, could talk to like relief pitchers in baseball, or baseball pitchers in general, to get the understanding that you gotta always be focusing on the ball that you pitching, not say a guy just hit you for a home run, because you're still thinking about that. You can't focus on the game, on your job at hand. Similar, guy just hit you for 6, you can't worry about that. You gotta switch off and focus on the next ball. What plans, what you're gonna do with the next ball. That quickly, that's the mental part, because T20 game, as they say, every ball is an event. It's not like test cricket, you know what I mean? Every ball is an event. So you have to be always focusing on the ball that you're gonna bowl, and not what happened before.
In case you're just joining us, Cricket West Indies, or West Indies Cricket 101 here tonight, here every Sunday night at 6 p.m. And there we go. We West Indians, overemphasis, every Sunday night, 6 p.m. And we have here with us Basil Butcher Jr., our analyst, and we are focusing on the just concluded 3-match series between the West Indies and South Africa as they gear up for the World T20. West Indies kick off here on the 3rd of June in Guyana against Papua New Guinea. It's they say it's a walkover, but as Basil has just said, every ball is an event, and if you lose the game, if you lose the battle in 6 balls, you've lost it. You've lost it. So even third string teams, you cannot underestimate. Let's get back to the players. Shamar Joseph. As we looked at him over the 3 matches, has he come to the party? Are there still doubts about whether he can fit in to the 2020 arena?
I think Joseph, one of the things I like about this youngster, he seems to learn very quickly. And they've obviously given him a specific role that they're looking for him to do, and I kind of like explain to him, look, this is what we're looking for you to do. You just focus on doing this and nothing else, right? And so you can see that's the situation with him. I don't think there were, if those who doubted that this guy would be able to bowl in T20 cricket, I mean, they got to be kidding me. I mean, for a guy to perform like that in those test matches, you have to be a bowler of good quality. It's just a matter of the experience factor is obviously on his side. So by defining his role, given his specific role, and he understands the confines within which he's operating, helps to helps to placate that lack of experience. So he's not thinking, what I got to do here and so on. Shamar, this is your rule. This is what we expect of you. This is what you got to look to do. These are the kind of balls you got to look to bowl. And obviously, captain, hopefully, or somebody going to be standing at mid-off, mid-on to always be in his ear to remind him, to help him, and so on and so forth if necessary.
And Basil, I looked at him today. I wanted to take a good look at him today. And today was a good day to look at him. He bowled his first 2 overs in the power play.
Yeah.
And then he bowled the last 2 at the death. And so I want you to comment. And he performed in both roles, all right? With the distinction. The other thing is in the overs towards the dead, they gave him a deep backward square, a deep mid wicket, a long on, and I think a fine leg. So they were telling him bowl to this field, right? To the right hander. And almost every ball he bowled to his field. As the batsman is making, I think it was the captain, was making room to smack him over the off.
Offside, yes.
Yes, and he kept following him. And to me, that is the hallmark of someone who's playing the game with his brains, with his head, as we say. Over to you.
Yeah, I remember that over, and I think he gave up 6 runs, which was
6 runs, right?
Excellent,
including I think a wide or something like that.
And that's something he has to tighten up on, because when a guy like him bowl a wide, is usually 5 runs, right? With the kind of pace, that he bowling, that the wicketkeeper usually don't have a chance. And in this T20 game, 5 runs could be crucial. So that's an area he has to tighten up, to make sure he doesn't give away the wides. But the guy is 3 games in his international T20 career. I cannot complain. I like what I saw. Yeah, I could see this. I could see the improvement from game to game. His awareness of what he has to do in the given situations, and wish him all the best. That when he gets an opportunity in the World Cup.
Obed McCoy. He took 3 today. He bowled up and down, I think, in the first 2 games. But he got the good news today that he's in the team for Jason Holder. I want to get your comments on his performance, and then tell us whether you would have gone for him as a replacement for Jason Holder or for Kyle Mayers?
McCoy had a better day today. He's coming off. We had a good series in Nepal. Even though the last game there, I remember the Nepal guy taking for 22 to finish the game off. Right? He was, up and down, as you said, in the first two games. He was more on point today. I looking more to look at his execution. I think he executed better today than he did in the other games. And one of the things I noticed, and he is bowling more on pace balls than all that back of the arm junk that he would always be bowling. So it seems to me that his role and his approach to his role means that he has to bowl balls with more pace than this off-speed junk that he's known for. Because I didn't see any of the back of the arm stuff at all.
No.
All today, because
None
I
of that
noticed too, the commentator asked him about that.
Yes.
We didn't see you bowling that slow. So, and I always thought McCoy, I thought he overdid it with that stuff, because McCoy is a guy can bowl in the low 140s.
Yes.
Showed, right? And to me, I again go back to baseball parlance. Those guys who throw hard and then could throw the off-speed ball, working off the fast ball, they are devastating. But when you keep showing the batter over and over these slow balls, they could line you up, So work off your pace, and maybe that's the instruction that he has gotten. That now your slower ball will be more devastating. The commentators claim the ball that got the South African captain out was a slow ball. I was looking to see what the pace. I didn't think it was a slow ball, or if it was slow ball, it was marginally slower, right? I just think that what's his name? Van der Dusen got the ball in the wrong part of the bat. And that's all it takes. It takes, if you don't get the ball in the right part of the bat, instead of the ball traveling straight, the ball went up in the air, Maybe it was a slow ball. They assume because of the shot it was a slow ball, but I think McCoy he did a decent job today.
Yeah, I think the captain, the South African captain, the angle did him in. I don't think it was the pace.
Me too. I don't think it was.
I think the angle did it in, and and that angle that McCoy bowls, he needs to bowl on pace more, because he has the angle going from, especially to the right hand. Right, yeah. And if he gives the ball pace, he is. I agree with you. I think that slow ball junking, unless you are a Dwayne Bravo, who I think wrote the manual on variation, I don't think that fast bowlers should really do too much of that. One of your idols and one of my idols had what was called the slow bouncer.
Correct.
Sir Andy Roberts.
Sir Andy Roberts, yeah.
And he bowled it off the same action, and so forth. I always refer to it as the fast bowlers googly, because it was more effective. And Courtney Walsh had a poor man's version of it, and so on.
Yes.
But these chaps here, I don't think should. That slow ball thing, I think, is too much overdone. Is McCoy the right replacement for Holder?
The jury will be out on that. I would not have picked McCoy. My position, I would have gone with Mayers. Or there are two options. Or the guy Fabian Allen. One of the two. Because McCoy is a one-dimensional cricketer. He could come and slug 1 or 2 balls at the bottom, and he's a very below the average fielder, right? Holder is a three-dimensional player, right? Holder is a damn good fielder. He is a very reliable. He could be a very useful batter, and he's a decent bowler, right? Now you replace him with a one-dimensional guy. Yeah. I foresee I hard pressed to see McCoy get into the 11. To be frank, yes. Shepherd space, right? That I thought Shepherd would keep hold out of the 11. Also, I thought Shepherd would keep hold out of the 11, right? So, in my view, Myers, or Allen would have brought more value because we're playing in the Caribbean. Mayers, as we saw Mayers with the bat, Mayers in all 3 games, kind of like reminding the selectors, I'm not so sure y'all made the right decision by leaving me out of this team. You know, Allen brings the all-round ability, a superb fielder. Again, because we're playing with the spin, and maybe because Allen is a left-handed spinner, they might say, what is use getting 3 of them? But what Allen would, as a backup, would say, if one of the 2 are not doing the job, you got Allen in the hut to come and replace one of the 2 left-arm spinners we got in the squad, right? So maybe Allen could have been seen, and then Allen is a useful guy with the bat, as we've seen Allen in the past. Yeah. At the bottom there, you know, he would again lengthen the batting lineup from a guy who is a bowler and so on. So we'll see if McCoy was the choice. They may have had certain roles that Jason Holder was going to fulfill as a bowler, and they feel McCoy is the guy who is best suited to fill those roles. And that's how these days teams are picked. As they said, we look at picking players based on roles we want them to fulfill, not on just, this guy is a better all-round player or so on and so forth. But we'll see. I'm not gonna make a lot of noise and jump up and down because I don't know what's the role they're looking for him to play and what Holder was going to play. And it would seem that McCoy is the best replacement in their eyes to fulfill that role.
I agree with you that I didn't see Holder and a Shepherd in the same 11. I think it had to be one of them. Exactly. Right? And I have my bias, so I would have gone with Shepherd. Right? Purely unbiased, not anything else.
But Dr. Hines, I don't think you need to be biased per se. All due respect to Jason Holder, he doesn't give you the same bop at the lower end there that Shepherd brings. All due respect to Holder. Shepherd brings, Shepherd has that ability to on a given day win the game for you. Coming in at number 9. So you got a seemingly impossible target, and this guy comes in and just takes apart the bowling like the game he won for Mumbai. That was the game that afforded him to play a couple more games because they said he won the game. And it's always valuable, and I am talking now as a coach, when you got match winners throughout your lineup. It makes the job easier. That you got this one guy here could win a game for you. You got another guy could win a game for you. And in the T20 game, because of how short it is, the more those kind of players that you got in your team, you're a dangerous team. That's why I say West Indies is a very dangerous team. Because we got a few match winners, I think, in the team. Not people that we know that have done it consistently, but are capable of doing it.
So, Basil, we have agreed on a lot tonight. Mm-hmm. We may disagree now. We're coming now to the starting 11 against Papua New Guinea. All 15 players being fit. Yes. And I'll give you my 11, and then you can tear it apart. So I am going King and Johnson Charles opening.
Yes.
Puran 3, Hetmeyer 4, the skipper Powell 5.
I like how you're saying there.
The skipper Powell 5, Jay Russell 6, Shepherd 7, Chase 8. And then my bowlers, the other 3 bowlers are the 2 Josephs and Moti. My starting 11. It's hard to leave out
Rutherford.
Rutherford. It's
Yeah.
hard to leave out Hope. It's hard to leave out Akil Hussein. I think who am I missing? The last person I'm missing there that is being left. Oh, McCoy. I think it's not hard leaving out McCoy, right?
Right.
But it's
Right.
hard leaving out the other 3 guys. That's my starting 11. Everybody being fit on the 3rd at I was about to say border.
Providence.
Yeah, Providence.
Yes.
It's hard on Hope. If I were Hope and they tell me take a rest, I would have look at the TVs, look at the team, and said, no, I want to play. And don't take no rest. Don't take a chance. Play this series. Do like Johnson Charles did today, because I think Johnson Charles sealed his play.
When he saw Myers doing, everybody started saying, wait a minute, man. I think y'all made a mistake. This is Sammy's pick. You're bringing down Charles. And Charles put on one of his when he gets in that kind of groove, he can be, oh Lord, he can be this. Yes, it's almost like what we used to say in Guyana, boxing.
I watched that chop today. I said, Lord God.
I think the South African bowlers got a little bazadi after they started because they kept bowling right into his strength.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Your 11.
My 11, I have Charles and King opening, Puran 3, Chase batting 4, the captain 5, Rutherford 6, Russell 7, Shepherd 8, Hussein and Moti 9 and 10, and one of the Josephs.
I knew we were going to disagree. Big.
Yeah. I know you got the guy Hetmire. No, I cannot tell Sharfin Rutherford to be out of the team after Sharfin Rutherford did what he has done recently for West Indies international cricket. I have to give Sharfin Rutherford the nod to play ahead of Hetmire. To start the tournament. That's my view. I think they're going to play the 3 spinners, Chase, Moti, and Hussein. We're playing in Guyana, Providence, where it favors the spin. Based on my reports from the folks down there, you got a grass on the pitches now because the ICC requires grass. So what I've been told, you'll expect to get more even bunks. Not that low, it's getting low and slow.
Right.
We will expect to get more even bunks. How much spin is gonna be? That's another question. But I think because of the history of Providence, I think they're gonna play 3 spinners.
All right. Now I'm interested in Roston Chase at number 4. All right. No, Roston Chase has to be in the team. I think he's one of those players that, and because he is an all-rounder, and he is not, you wouldn't call him a great player, but he's there and there.
Yeah.
And it's hard to keep somebody like that out of the team. No. So he against my natural instinct, I can't quarrel with Chase. But I'm interested that you have him batting at 4. Your rationale.
Well, Chase would be the guy he would be the glue. That all the more power hitters, if need be, they would bat around. Right? Chase would afford them because that role at number 4 is what they want. Is either Chase or Hope going to be playing, in my view, batting at number 4. Unless a situation arises where one of the 2 openers are just failing miserably and they trust Hope into that opening position, right? But that role is Chase or Hope. And why I would pick Hope is because he's a bowling option and a good bowling option. You don't want to go into any game with just 5 bowling options, right? No, you want to have six, because at least six, because you never know if one guy is gonna go bad on a given day, right? So you gotta have Chase in there, and you saw how Chase batted.
Right, right,
Chase
right, right.
batted, and it's the same thing he did in the one game he got into in Australia when he made those runs, and then he came and he bowled his score for a little bit. The game that Rutherford made 60 odd. So that's why Chase got a bat at 4. Because think about it, the whole lineup except Chase is guys power hitters. You gotta got somebody in there that gonna be the person to be the glue and steady the ship. And that's the role that the number 4 in this team will be playing. Some people call it the Marlon Samuels role.
The Marlon Samuels role.
I think Sammy has some of that template from his World Cup winning teams.
Yeah.
And he feels that role is an important role in the team. And that's and both Chase, the other thing why Chase and Think got a bat there, or one or the other, they're both good players of spin. So when you come into bat at that time is when the spin generally would be bowling. And both Chase and Hope are capable players against spin.
And we are joined belatedly by Dr. Vincent Adams, who in his time was an opening batsman and could not afford to be late. And in fact,
exactly.
Where Butcher drop a man, can the man turn up late?
I mean, he would be putting the team under pressure. Because if we win the toss, and he's your late, you gotta send a wrong man for going to open the button. I hear now, Vincent himself has admitted this on multiple occasions. He is so mentally in tune to be an opening batsman, even in the times when he said they sent him to bat trials number 3. He said he just mentally couldn't get into it.
Guys, I hope that Sidney Matthews and Bill White are not looking, because I dropped both of them for sure. Not later.
Oh, you dropped Mato?
Yeah. And the thing is, Mato didn't even know that he get dropped. I wait till he put on all the whites, and we were going out to field, and he holding the new ball, walking down the steps, and he said, "You're 12 today, boy. Go back up."
Well, we are not going to drop you today. We'll give you a warning. We'll give you a warning.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, Dr. Adams, we are on the point. Well, I think you got the news that Holder is injured. And
I didn't hear that.
Holder's been replaced by McCoy. McCoy replaced him in the squad.
Well, but McCoy, I think that's a bias. I mean, I cannot believe what Mears must have done these guys something wrong. It has to be that something is wrong there, that Mears cannot get into this squad. Because there's no question Mears should have been in the squad, and he's even shown in the 2 games. I don't know what happened with the 3rd game.
He did it again today, Vincent.
You see, I mean,
up 36 not out, I think.
How could you leave out a cricketer like this? A guy who could give you probably at least 2 overs, and then bat up. I don't know. He should be playing Charles. I'll remove Charles and even let Mears open batting.
But today, Charles, Vincent.
Today, Charles was vicious.
Charles might have
let me take it back.
69 in 23 balls.
Today, and you know the days when Charles hitting everything.
Oh, yes.
At one point, when Charles got to 49, his 49th run was his first single. Everything else were all boundaries.
And of his 69, only 3 singles.
26 balls.
When he's got his day.
Exactly. And he had it today.
He could. But Basil, I hear you saying that they're going to open with Hope. They're going to open with Hope. They're going to open with Hope.
No. He didn't say that. He didn't say that.
Saying,
so we are coming.
They're
coming to you, Vincent.
Okay.
I am the one here with the least cricketing pedigree. The farthest I went in the game, I played for Buxton 1 season. I was the top scorer.
Ah, let me hear what the score though. Let me hear what
1987. I can't remember what's the score. And I migrated soon after, so my record is intact. I wasn't tested the following season.
Got you.
It's that I was mediocre. I was the commentator for the team. So here is my 11, which Basil disagrees with. I think about 4 of me people in that way.
So, no. Mr. Hetmeyer was the first.
So I am Charles and King opening.
Okay.
Puran 3. All 3 of us, our favorite cricketer, Hetmeyer 4.
No. I don't have Hetmeyer in my 11. So.
All right. The captain at 5, Powell. Dre Russell at 6. Shepard at 7. Roston Chase at 8, but Roston Chase to me can float from anywhere between 4 and 8. I agree with him.
Yeah, he's gonna
back up. I'm saying he's 8. And then I have the 2 Joseph and Moti. Now you didn't have Moti in your squad, right? But Moti had picked up 8 wickets during the series. I think he's red hot and so on. So I am leaving out, much to my distress.
Right? Hussein.
I'm leaving out Hussein, Rutherford, Hope, and McCoy. All right. Where do you stand, Mr. Vincent Adams?
Hope is gonna be in my. Hetmeyer would be out. Here, and that would be my team. But Hetmeyer is still playing on his name. Okay, they're not. They're probably gonna play him at least in the first game or so. And because the first couple of games are not any kind of competition, but Hetmeyer is playing on his name. But so I am picking the team that I think is the best team. So Hetmeyer is out. Chase will bat up in the order. Who else?
So you are bringing in Hope.
He doesn't have Hussein.
I don't have Hussein.
Where are they playing? Where are they playing the first?
In Guyana.
Now Hussein, I would say they're gonna go. I think they're gonna go with the strong spinner because the batting they're deep.
That's what Basil is saying.
I told him the 3 spinners.
Yeah, I think all 3 spinners.
And Chase.
I think so too. I think they're gonna go with all 3
one of the Josephs will have to sit.
Well, I tell you guys from day one, okay? This kid who showed up in Australia, this is a totally different. There's a totally different game. He's got to learn this game, and we see already. So he would not be in my team. However, again, I believe they're probably going to try him. Maybe they're going to try him against the weaker teams initially, but I can't see him in my 11. He's not in my 11, so he's out. Which is the younger Joseph, because he's got to learn. He's got to learn the game. He's not ready yet for this international T20. He's got to prove himself. So he's out. Who else was there?
You got Shepard.
So I'm playing 3 spinners.
So
and Russell is there. Russell has to be there. Russell is going to be Russell. That's why if I got Russell.
Well, let me just tell you my 11, Vincent.
Yeah.
Charles and King, Puran at 3.
Right.
Chase at 4.
Right.
Powell at 5.
Right.
Rutherford at 6.
Right.
Russell at 7. Shepard at 8.
Right.
Akil Hussein at 9. Moti at 10. And Alzari Joseph at 11. Well, actually, Alzari before.
Who did you leave out there, Basil? Let me hear.
I left out Hope. I left out Shamar Joseph. I left out
Hetmeyer.
McCoy. And who's the other one?
Hetmeyer.
All right. So Basil, here's where I'm going to differ with you. There is no way that they're going to leave out Hope. So, and if Hope plays, that means Shepard is play. Chase will play. But again, remember you've got the 3 spinners. You've got.
So then you're gonna drop Sharfin Rutherford then.
That's exactly correct. Rutherford is out. Rutherford is out, and Hope will play. They're not gonna drop Hope.
I rarely I'm not gonna. I doubt whether we're gonna see both Hope and Chase playing in the same 11. That's my opinion.
Well, and I
Because
rest
I think the two of them have been picked to play the same role
as
in
to
the match. Yes,
stabilize all in
exactly.
the.
Yes.
But interestingly enough, Basil,
Mhm.
um, if you look at how Chase is batting, he here the second game he had a strike rate of 176.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying to you. That Chase, he didn't play today. They obviously rested him today, but that's why I said Dr. Hines said something. He said, "Hope gone home and rest." He, he said, "Nobody. If I was Hope, I'd say, no. Me going to rest today. I coming to play. I can play this game because I in a competition. My spot is not sealed because the thing about Chase offers that excellent bowling option.
Yes.
That
Absolutely,
is why I give
absolutely.
him the edge to play in that position instead of Hope. Let me tell you something. I would not be surprised if Hope don't get in the 11 at all in this World Cup.
No, I
I
wouldn't be surprised either. I would not
I
be
wouldn't be
surprised either.
surprised
Here's
because
my
if Chase performs, I think his chances of playing in the World Cup would be very slim to none.
so here's where I fit Hope in. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
the two openers, Charles and King.
Mm-hmm.
Surprisingly, I've got Hope at 3,
At
Puran
four.
4,
Mm-hmm.
Chase 5, the
Mm-hmm.
captain 6,
Mm-hmm.
7 Russell,
Mm-hmm.
and then the rest. You could pick any one of them. But
Shepard,
Shepard, Joseph,
Shepard, Joseph, and the two
yes,
spinners.
that's
Right.
my batting lineup. That would be
Um,
that's where I see it.
that that's not a far fetched idea, you know. But why I say I'm going on this when it comes to Rutherford. I think because of his last game, what he did, they can give him the chance to start the World Cup.
So you think they're gonna play him in front of in they're
And
gonna and
hope
hope.
will play the first game. Yes.
I think that's the difference between your team and my team. I think Hope.
Yes.
I think
Yeah, yeah.
Hope.
You got hope instead of Rutherford.
And
Yes.
here's the other thing, Basil, and you've been around this game long enough
Hmm.
because Hope has been a senior person, as a man, it's hard to drop a person, it's just to drop that kind of a player unless they fail in starting out in the series. So in the first game, I don't
But
think they're
but
gonna drop.
one thing, Vincent, that's why when Dr. Hines said that is a very excellent point he's making. Because Hope failed miserably in Australia. You remember that T20
Yeah,
series
yeah,
in
yep,
Australia?
yep.
He failed miserably. The one game we won, Mr. Chase and Mr. Rutherford were the stars of that game.
That game, yeah.
And it was that game when you remember I come in. Well, I went to sleep or what something it was. I didn't see it because I said I ain't thinking my sleep for the flipping West Indies, right? I went to sleep. So when I wake up the morning and I see the scores, I said, "What? Rutherford 60 something not out?" So right away I told the Hetmeyer guys, I said, "Y'all can't duck. Mr. Rutherford has solidified his position." Because I thought that if Rutherford had not done the job in us, because he failed in the first 2 games and did not and then finished the series with the winning, that his chances of getting in the West East team in the World Cup would have been hard because I know he would have not got played in the IPL when I saw the team that picked him. So he would have had nothing, no cricket to show to
Yeah.
remind the selectors, look, remember I'm here, right? So I just feel, cricket, a guy, the last appearance, 60 something not out, can't drop him on. He got to start the first game. That's just my opinion.
Yeah,
That's
no,
why I have him in the team over Hope.
I think you've made a case, but I'm just the sentiments of how I believe, and that is why I'm saying do not be surprised if Hetmeyer is in this team because of the
Oh
same
yeah,
reason that I just used there. Don't be
Yeah, but
surprised.
and also, Vincent, even if you remember that last game in Australia, Hope was set down, and that's how Chase played,
Yes,
Yes,
yes, yes,
yes,
yes,
right?
yes,
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 That's
yes,
how
yes.
Chase played,
yes.
right? And Chase, and this is the thing with Mr. Chase, I gotta give him credit. Every time he's gotten his opportunity,
That's
Right.
he
right.
has marked his name present,
he,
right? And so he's making it, and that's what you want players to do. As Dr. Hines said earlier, give the selectors headache, right? And
yep,
he has given it because they brought hope, and Sammy has said that openly. We because between over 7 and 15, we have been a very ordinary team. We were going like about 6 runs over.
right,
Right?
right.
And when you look at the best teams in the world, their run rates are significantly higher between those overs. And Sammy saw that was an area we had to improve if we wanted to be with the big boys. So that was one of the reasons why they brought Puran up to bat at 4 and brought Shea Hope into the team. Because both of these players are good players of spin,
Right,
and
right.
they can up the run rate. Now that Chase is in the squad too. Chase is also a good player of spin, but
Yes.
and Chase gives you the option of a bowler, and he's not like some jokey bowler. He's a pretty decent off spinner. Because when you look at his economy rate, it is very low. He don't go for plenty runs when he bowls, you know.
Well,
So
I know you guys are decent. I know he bowls tight. I don't call. I don't,
no, well, no, well, no, well.
he and Hussein is,
I talking. His economy rate is below
yeah,
6.
no, no. He's an excellent T20 bowler. But same thing with Hussein. You know, Hussein is the same thing. The two of them can. You see, Moti is more of what your traditional type of swim. But these guys, they know they can. They're your vintage T20 type bowlers. And Basil is absolutely correct. He offers that option. As a bowler, he's gonna bowl at least 2 overs, if not all four.
All 4.
I'll play all three the spinners without
Yeah,
complaining. Yeah.
I got I got all 3 spinners playing, particularly in the first 3 games, because 2 in Guyana, 1 in Trinidad. And as I said to Dr. Hines before you came on, by the time we get to St. Lucia, we would have gotten intel on how the pitches are playing in St. Lucia, because games would have been played before us. So then, St. Lucia is typically the one pitch in the Caribbean that
Yep.
fast bowlers,
Seam.
fast bowlers like. So I was looking like in St. Lucia, especially going up against Afghanistan, both Josephs playing.
Yes,
We
I
want some
agree with that.
serious pace.
I agree with
Serious
that.
pace going at Afghanistan, right?
No
So
question.
yeah, so both Josephs to me would play in that game. We may not play all 3 spinners
I agree.
because you're bringing in Joseph. So maybe one, depending which of the 2 left arm spinners going well, you may decide to go drop one of them.
But
I want to get your thoughts on 2 things. First, I want to get your thoughts on the fielding. I was paying close attention to our fielding, because I think it's an area that we don't talk about much when it comes to the West Indies game, because we have so many problems with our game. We had problems with batting in the power play, bowling in the power play, bowling at death, that we don't pay attention. And so I was paying particular attention to the fielding. Today it was excellent. Some tremendous catches. I mean,
Oh,
the
yeah.
one that
The captain took over the
yes,
shoulder.
and then
That was
somebody else took another stunner, right? And I want you all to comment whether you all have seen some improvement in the fielding, to really help to up our game in the tournament.
you know,
I can.
let me. Here's the thing about
Go ahead.
fielding, okay?
Yeah.
And a lot of people, you look when your team is doing well and you have the confidence helps your feeling a bunch. In all of my experience, if you see even partially when you see you drop a catch, you're nervous, you don't want a ball come to you. It's the same thing when an entire field, when you're feeling well, and that's what they've been doing. They beat South Africa. That raises their confidence, and it really helps their feeling. I didn't see the game today, but that doesn't surprise me. So, I didn't see the game, but it doesn't surprise me when you're winning and you're taking catches, and it puts that extra confidence into you, and that you try harder. You're not afraid for the ball to come to you anymore, which makes a big difference. As a player, I remember those days when you see a drop a catch or something, you
And the ball used to follow you.
and the ball you know, I see men in my time, you drop a catch for a slip and you hide them behind the wicket keeper and us and stuff. But when you've got the confidence in your team and you're taking catches, it really helps the feeling. I didn't see the game today, but it doesn't surprise me that the feeling is.
Yeah. Before I get to you, Basil, I remember watching poor Mark Harper at Border so many times. Mark was always unlucky to drop a catch. And my God. I mean, the crowd gave him stick, and poor Mark, the ball used to follow him. Anyway, go ahead.
I think Dr. Hines, I would give us a B plus in terms of our fielding. The catching for the most part was excellent. Right? The ground fielding, I want to see us be a little bit more quicker.
Right.
I don't think that was as good as it could be.
Right.
And that is an essential element. And it doesn't show up. It doesn't show up as bad here in the Caribbean because the fields that we play on, they're not big fields. Yeah. So, you don't see the tools as much as you would see elsewhere. And that can cover up because we got several good athletes in the team. Young Joseph is one. He took a beautiful catch yesterday.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Fefluquayo just keep looking and shaking his head. He couldn't believe. God, when he hit that ball, he said, boundary. Next thing you see Joseph between catching the ball, right? But I think our fielding could be of a higher level. And I hope we do up, because when you look at some of the other teams in the world, the top fielding teams in the world, I still think we're a little bit behind them. And with a Jason Holder out of the squad, we have lost a very good boundary fielder.
I absolutely agree.
One of the best boundary fielders in the world we have lost in Jason Holder.
Yeah.
And I do not think Mr. Obed McCoy, if he was to play in 11, or even Shepard plays, they could match Jason Holder on the boundary.
No, right? Yeah, his height made a difference.
So most people, when you hit the ball in the air, you might say 6 runs of Jason Holder standing there. There's a chance that is going to be a wicket versus 6 runs. And we cannot underestimate that important, that hole that would be in our fielding unit with Holder not being in there.
Yeah. Totally. Basil, your point is well taken.
Totally
I
agree.
felt that we do not attack the ball in the field as much. I mean, we decide what are ones and what are twos. And we don't try to stop possible twos and turn them into ones. Because we don't attack the ball. So I agree with you to be...
it's funny, I say this. One of the guys in our chat today, I ain't gonna call his name, but he noted Mr. Charles. He said this guy looks like he's running in molasses.
but guys, remember we got, I was about to say we've got a couple of older folks in there too in the mix. Yeah. You've got Charles and then you've got Russell. So you've got who else is there that is so, but I didn't see them today. But it sounds if they did really well.
The catching was very.
Oh yeah, I mean, King took and the funny thing about it, King this is the scary part. Both King and Mackay going for the ball together.
Yeah.
And King ended up catching the ball over his shoulder. Similarly, the captain hit the ball up in the air, and fortunately, Athenaeus was focused only on the ball and did not see through
See
his peripheral.
Charles.
Johnson coming, because Johnson Charles hit Athenaeus.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and if Athenaeus only through his peripheral vision had just lost for that tiny split second, his vision on the ball, that catch would have been dropped.
But Basil, where are the basics? You shout.
Exactly.
Where are the basics?
There was no
You
no
shout.
call of mine.
You shout. You
Exactly.
shout your top of your voice.
Exactly. Those are timeless principles. And it's not like if Sabina Park was so noisy that you would have shouted and your teammate would not have heard you. It's not like 80,000 people screaming that you can't hear yourself.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But Basil, well, you didn't see the game today, Vincent. But
No, I didn't see the game today.
There was a catch that eventually went for 6 runs. When the captain was about 5 or 6 or whatever, he went on to make 51. It didn't cost us. It cost us runs. It didn't cost us the game. In terms of Mayers took the catch, wasn't aware of where he was standing.
Yeah.
And to me, in the modern T20 game, that's a cardinal sin.
Yeah. I think in modern cricket, because now with the guys so athletic, or they do the thing where they would throw the ball up before.
That's right.
Go out and come back into the field. You always, I mean, that's a cardinal sin of a boundary fielder. You always have to know
absolutely
where the boundary is at all times, right? And these are some of the things that from a cricket perspective that our cricketers could learn from baseball outfielders.
Yeah.
One of the things I remember when I was going through the level 3 Australia coaching cert, we went to see a baseball game, the Miami team, and they took us to watch the game, and we had a good seating, so we were right there watching where the left fielder was. And I kept my eyes on him because the first time I went to a baseball game where I could be so close to the field. And I noticed the outfielder never moved when the ball was hit. He only moved when the ball hit the apex.
Yeah.
And then he moved into what we would call the dropping zone. So it was so efficient. And one of the things fielders, I don't know if coaches teach fielders this, is to also judge a catch based on the song.
Absolutely.
Because there are different songs that you would know, I got to come in on this one because I know this didn't hit the best part of the bat, right? So same thing with the baseball outfielders. Those guys, you would see some of them, when the ball hit the crack of the bat, they know this one going towards the fence, and they turn and start running while the ball is in the air so they could get into the drop-in zone. And those are some of the things that I think from a West Indian perspective, we have not inculcated in our fielding game to date. You would see it in the other teams. You don't see the other teams making them kind of mistakes, Dr. Hines.
Right.
I mean, that 6 runs could have been the difference between
the difference. Oh yes. Yes.
So in this T20 game, you can't make you have to be on point. You cannot be a philanthropist at all.
Right.
Yes. Basil Butcher Jr. and Dr. Vincent Adams here tonight. We are discussing West Indies cricket as we prepare for the T20 World Cup. Today, the West Indies defeated South Africa in the 3rd of the 3-match series, winning a rare 3-0. It was good to see the crowds out at Sabina Park. It was good to see cricket back at Sabina Park. It was good to see the West Indies team taking advantage of what in effect is a warm-up series as we prepare to go into the World Cup. Gentlemen, I want to ask you all a general cricketing question to go out on tonight. Between the 1960s and the 1980s, we saw some excellent fieldsmen from the West Indies. Harold Backus, Roger Harper from Guyana, Vivian Richards. There was a guy who I saw who I think was excellent, and we don't talk about him much, Jeff Greenwich.
Yeah, I remember him.
From Barbados.
Yeah, the white grenade.
White grenades was a handful.
Yeah.
In the field. You all have been
Vincent, you played
closer to
against him, right?
Huh?
You played against Jeff Grenade.
Yeah, matter of fact,
right?
I played I started playing with Jeff since in the very first youth tournament.
Yes.
In 1966.
Okay.
I never forget. He bowled on the guarantee with his leg spin googly.
Yes,
I think that 2-1 or something in Barbados. Leg spin googly confused everybody. That was the first time I saw him as a leg spin googly bowler in 1966, and then he didn't play in '68, and then he played in he came into the Shell Shield. Then he played Test cricket. Yeah, but I
think he made a double 100 in local. And he played county cricket, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Who was the best of them all during that period that you also?
You forget to call Clive Lloyd.
Oh my goodness!
Here.
Oh my God!
Here.
Yeah.
How could you forget
That
the
should have
big
been the
cat?
first name. That should have been the first name to call.
The big cat.
The big cat. Super cat.
My dad said to me, my dad would always tell me Clive was the first guy to, well, he called it lie down and stop a ball, which is diving. Clive was the first guy to do diving in the field and stopping the ball. Clive is the first West Indian cricketer, I said, was the first guy that started doing those things. I was fortunate. I did get an opportunity as a little boy. I saw Clive Lloyd fielding in the covers. And as a little boy, it was mesmerizing to see this big guy, how nothing seemed to pass him, right? It's after he got the injury and so on, and he starts feeling more in the slips and so on. But I was fortunate to see him when he was still super cat, right? And Clive Lloyd, people often underrate Clive Lloyd is one of the great fielders who have played for West Indies, because when he went into the slips, he never used to drop nothing. He took some outstanding catches in slip. So, Clive Lloyd, Clive Lloyd, Roger Harper as the two best West Indian fielders I have seen.
Vincent Adams.
No question. I go with the super cat. And the thing about him, he did everything in the field. The guy has a reach that is unbelievable. And you see, it also, when you're feeling, it's not about speed also. It's
anticipation.
That's right. And he had that. And he looked just like if he used to glide.
Yes.
And the other thing about him, the guy throw was like a bullet.
Yeah.
He would pick up right away and he would throw to either end. And then again, in the slips, he was probably one of the more outstanding West Indian players in the slip, probably outside of Robin Bino. Robin Bino is probably the best slip fielder I've seen. Of course, he caught me I never forget he caught me. When he caught me, the ball has already passed him. And he caught him. But by far, Clive, and I agree with Basil, my second choice would be Roger Harper. But Faoud Bacchus was also standing fielder. But so those three would be my top three that I've seen in the West Indies. Clive, without question, and then Roger and Faoud.
I can't disagree. I cannot disagree. I cannot disagree. I cannot disagree.
Myself after Faoud Bacchus.
I don't think Faoud Bacchus is far behind.
As I very played, I put on my wristbands like Faoud. Faoud used to seem to just glide in the field. He just glided in. And the thing about Faoud too, just like Roger and Clive, why I rate those two highly and I agree with Vincent and Faoud. Faoud could feel anywhere. Faoud used to feel forward short leg.
Faoud
used to feel forward short leg. I seen Faoud take some superb catches of forward short leg and so on and so forth. Viv was a tremendous fielder too, but I go in with them too. And Faoud, the honorable mention.
I saw Faoud Bacchus at Bordeaux. Fredericks is bowling to a Bajan chap named Emerson Trotman. You already
yes.
Yeah.
And he's spinning. And Trotman cuts all 6 balls. He cut to the left, to the right, straight, and Farouk Bacchus stopped all 6. All 6. I as a little boy, I sit down in rails and watch it because you know watching side on, right? Because
Yeah.
You're seeing Stratman cut to the right, cut to the left, and as if Bacchus knows where the ball is going. And that was a day at Border that I will never, ever forget. So long as
that is one of the great features of Farouk's fielding, because Farouk was not the fastest guy. You know what I mean? He was very quick.
Yeah, he wasn't. Yes, he wasn't fast.
Yes.
But I think his anticipation was second to none. His anticipation. So he always got himself into a good position to field the ball.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. I Basil, before we get out, I mean, he never played for Guyana or anything, and I'm sure your father would say the same thing. But we had a guy in Linden, played Kings Cup, Chatter Landon.
Oh yes.
Was an outstanding fielder.
The Obai said Chatter was top shelf as a fielder.
Yeah.
You know, Dr. Hines, Sugrim, so Brian put some names on here, the chat there. You know, you remember Randall Brian. I know him.
Vincent Mears.
Yes, Vincent Mears.
I was just about to say that Vincent Mears was another outstanding fielder. That short man was another at cover. Vincent used to be at cover. He was another outstanding fielder.
And he mentioned there's St. John, who I thought was a neat batsman. Didn't play very much for Guyana. I think he belatedly played a couple of games. I remember Vincent Adams, Vincent Mears, and Claude St. John as names during that period. And I like St. John because he was nice and neat and accomplished. Didn't play very much. He was an East Bank boy,
Yes.
I can tell you a story.
Yeah.
Because we had just in 69. We played the Combined Islands in St. Kitts and Saint, and then we went to Jamaica. Kali failed in that game, and Kali got dropped in the Jamaican game. St. John made 40 something. St. John did well. In order to play Kali when we came back to Guyana, they dropped St. John, even though he performed in Jamaica. And I remember Kali. It was against Barbados. I remember I tell you when Bino caught the ball off of me. Kali came in and Kali was on 7, and Shepard hit him a bumper. Shepard used to get the ball coming up off of a good length, and Kali fended off. The ball hit his glove and popped up at ceiling mid-arm. Right. I mean, and it rolled when he was on 7.
Right.
It rolled through the guy's stomach. Kali made 63. And then I think the next game he made 99 against Trinidad. But I just show you how fortunes can shift. Because who knows if Saint had played that game. Because Saint was batting well.
Mm-hmm.
If Kali had gotten out at 7, most likely Kali would not have played the next game.
Right.
And the rest would have been
his way back into the Ghana team for the next year. But, these are how, things happen from. No, I'm sure Kali would have come to the top sometime, but because Cream always come to the top there, and he was a hell of a batsman.
Jeff, you're right. Gus Logie and Keith Atherton must be mentioned. I know. So many people.
Oh, well, then if you want to go there, I also played. He played Shell Shield. I also played with a guy named Sheldon Gomes.
Oh my goodness! Yes.
Larry
Gomes' brother.
Now that
top shelf.
Yes, because
top shelf.
Whenever West Indies would play in Trinidad, there's always take a local guy to be the emergency fieldsman. Sheldon, Sheldon was playing, he always would be the emergency fieldsman in Trinidad.
Outstanding
He was such an outstanding fielder. Yeah.
And an outstanding person to one of the nicest human beings.
I knew Sheldon really well because he was involved in cricket in New York. I knew him very, very well. Very quiet, very, very nice guy. Very nice guy.
Decent.
I was very sorry when I heard that he had passed. several
Yes,
years ago,
yes,
but I
yes.
heard he was ill. But he was a very, very nice guy. Very nice guy.
Of course, Trinidad produced all those brothers, the two
Oh
Stallmeyer
yes.
brothers, the
It's
two
like
Booms, the two
it's three of
Brackos,
them play for Trinidad.
yes,
And
the two
they got a
Gangas,
younger
The
one.
Davis, how about the Davis brothers?
Yeah,
Brian
Charlie and
and
Brian.
Charlie Davis. I always, only recently, brothers, I really find out why Charlie Davis stopped playing. It was always a mystery to me because he was so prolific in 72, 73, and then
Yeah.
74 he's gone. And only recently I learned he said the money couldn't mind his family.
Yeah, because this is what I understand. And he had to make a choice because
Yeah.
the 73 tour to England, his job would not give him the
Would not
time
right.
off,
Yeah.
right? And West Indies cricket wasn't paying nothing,
Right.
so he had to make a choice. That buddy, do I go to England? I got my wife and family to look after. You know what I mean? And he made the choice that he would not be available for that tour, and he was never picked again.
Never picked again. I only
Never.
recently I learned that. I
Yeah.
always Charlie Davis and the Jamaican wicketkeeper batsman Desmond Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
always wondered about those two.
Well,
Not
there.
the-
What about the other Jamaican wicketkeeper batsman, Renford Pinnock?
Pinnock.
Pinnock, pretty Pinnock, pretty
Yeah.
Pinnock,
Yeah, yeah. Oh yes, Pinnock was always neat. And
pretty Pinnock.
not everything was so
Here.
perfect. Yeah,
Yeah,
I know
you
my
never-
dad-
You played against him, right?
Yes,
Vincent?
yes. But it's the one guy you don't want your son or anybody look at him bat to learn to bat. Penny does decide beforehand. You know what? I can run down the pitch to this next ball. That's how he bats. This guy is look as if he can bat, but you can't get you out. The next thing you know, he hit you for 4, he come back, he tuck you there. Next thing you know, he got 100.
Yeah,
He does
because
not look like a batsman.
the thing about him, when you look at his records, he averaged over 40 in
Yes,
Chelsea.
Chelsea.
And to average 40 in those times, you got to be a very good player. I know the old boy said to me that he felt Pinnock got raw deal. He should have at least gotten a tour. Because,
Yes, I believe so.
we have had all kinds of people gone as a second wicket keeper.
Yes.
And none of them could bat like Pinnock.
He should have gotten a tour. He should have gotten a tour.
Yeah, the Omar said he felt Pinnock was unfair. He should have at least gotten a tour.
He should have gotten a
Gentlemen,
tour. But you
Yes,
know,
go ahead, Vincent.
yeah, we a lot of people do not even, you brought up one of our greats, and I love the guy, and he and I, we had a really good relation. Was that same Charlie Davis? A lot of people don't realize Charlie
54
Davis
average.
is 50. What is it, Master? Like 54.
Yes.
54.
Got high. And
Yeah.
when I asked Charlie, after my accident and I came back, and Charlie he saw me, he said, "Wait a minute, what happened to you? How come you're not in this Ghana team?" I said, "Chief, well, you see, we got the top 5 batsmen in the West Indies team, right? We got Fredo and Stephen." And I said, "So I am making, he said, but you all you got to do is make plenty runs." And he told me something that he said, as long as you make runs, they got to pick you. You know what he told me? He said, here's how you make runs. He said, when you're leaving the pavilion to go to bat, you tell your teammates, I can see y'all at tea time. Don't look at the scoreboard.
Bat
When
for
you
time.
go, you bat session by session.
Bat for
You don't
time.
bat over by over. You bat session. You said, I'm going out here. Tea time. I'm gonna see y'all. When you go out tea time, don't look at the scoreboard. Bat for time. And he said, your strokes come naturally. He says, as long as you have that mental, you're not putting pressure on yourself. Well, I'm scoring slow. He said, no. There are times when you're gonna hit 2 4s or 3 4s in a row, and then there are times when you're gonna, there are gonna be 3 maidens bowl to you. He said, don't worry about all that. Bat for time, and the runs come as long as the players,
That's the time, and thinking about as we go out.
That's right.
Two players who made plenty runs but never got even a tour. One of them eventually played when Packer thing. I'm talking about Irvin Chillingford and Ralston Otto.
Yes.
Ralston Ronson O'Toole never got to
Well,
look in.
Dr. Hines, I wouldn't say so much about Irvin Shillingford because I have had this debate and had to go to the archives to check the records. And when I looked at Irvin Shillingford, the one time I felt he got you could make an argument was 76 to England, right? They took Larry Gomes instead of him. I asked a former West Indies player who was on the team about it, and he was a guy who played with Irvin Shillingford, and he said, "Look, you got to remember Larry Gomes had English experience. Remember, Larry was playing for Middlesex.
For Middlesex, I think.
So those, and Larry was much younger. Irvin Shillingford was already close to his mid-30s at the time.
Right.
And so on. But because I asked, because you know, the folks from that part of the Caribbean, they always like to say they get raw deal and so on. There is truth to that, but you got to look at it case by case. And I've asked them, who are you going to pick Shillingford in front of in 74 in the West Indies team against England, 73 against Australia, 72 against New Zealand, 71 against India? Go and look through the middle order there and tell me.
No. Point taken.
As soon as you do that, the arguments get squashed.
No, point taken.
Yes.
We were too good during that period in terms of the batsmanship for Shillingford to get. He did get in.
Sobers and Kanai was still playing. So that's two splits.
He did get in when they went off the pack, and he did make his
well, he got in century. He got in 77. What I thought was strange is that he did not go to India in the Kalicharan team.
In the Kalicharan team.
Yeah, I thought
then he was 38, 39.
In the Kalicharan team. But I think what happened, he did play against Australia when the Packer guys were after the second test. He played and failed. Yeah. So you know when you fail and you're 35 in the Caribbean, they're not gonna pick you for the next tour, you know.
But you know, another player that I thought should have gone to England in '69, Basil, is Lloyd Cornelius. In '69, Lloyd, I think he had like 20 wickets. He and Blairy. As a matter of fact, I remember the cocktail party in Jamaica. Alan Ray, I think, was the chairman of the selection committee, and Alan Ray came up and tapped him on the shoulder and tell him, "Youngster," and Collymore pulled me aside. Collymore said he just got his death wish. He ain't going nowhere.
But Collie and Filbert went on that tour.
Filbert.
No, Collie went
to India.
But Cornelius, I mean, he bowled well throughout. To me, in that year, he was our best.
I think they picked some guy from Trinidad, Jaswick Jones or something like that.
I can't remember who they picked, but none of them.
They took a seamer instead of another spinner because you know we already had Lance Gibbs. Didn't Willie Rodriguez go to England?
Willie Rodriguez.
That's what they did. They took Willie Rodriguez.
And remember in '69, Davis was considered a top flight bowler. Remember Davis came in the late '60s as a very good medium pacer.
Yeah, he used to bowl a little seamish thing.
He went to England in '69, Charlie. Because that's where he made his test debut. And Charlie actually has on the Lords on a board because he made 100 at headquarters in that series.
Right.
But I thought, I thought that even Cornelius, because he was one hell of a batsman, he didn't make runs, a whole lot of runs in Shell Shield. But I think, and you see, the thing is, a lot of times players, they develop, when you go on these tours and you come back, you're probably 100% better player because of the nets and the exposure and the experience and the confidence. And I think he was one of the best all-rounders that they never made a West Indies squad. I never thought of Julian, for example. Julian was any player that should have been, like a top-notch West Indies. Julian and Keith Boyce and them guys used to hustle. Them and Ball Island, they were the same type of players. but they were not like outstanding players. You know, you look at them and see that they've got potential to be they've got talent. But no, Cornelius, I always had a lot of respect for him.
They took Pascal Roberts.
That's right. It was Pascal Roberts.
Pascal
Roberts. That's
exactly
correct.
Pascal Roberts.
It was
Pascal Roberts, Prince Bartholomew, Trinidad at that meeting.
Yeah, because you're talking about Charlie Davis. My dad's last game, Shell Shield game at Border. He was 19 out. It was against Trinidad. And that's the same game where Richard D'Souza make 95 in both innings.
Yes. He was another one that probably should have gotten a tour. Richard.
Prince Bartholomew made
about 60 something.
I think it's Prince Bartholomew made 95. One of the two of them, but both of them made 95 in one inning, and another one came back and made 95. And the thing I remember most outside when my father reached the 100 was Charlie Davis. Because I knew Charlie Davis because 69. My dad took me and my mother, my two brothers. We went on the tour to England, so we knew all the players, right? And I remember Charlie Davis making double duck. Gave him a double duck.
Gentlemen, it's we gotta go. Thank you all very much. By the time we come back next week, that warm-up match against Australia, which is like
would have been played, yes.
Would have been played, so we'll have something to chew on, because that match, I think, is going to be as crucial as any warm-up match is. Because if West Indies can get past Australia there, I think they go into the tournament with a bundle of optimism and so forth. Thank you all, and I'll see you all next week.
All right.
Okay. All right,
Dr. Guys.
All right. Thank you. And don't get West Indians started with cricket and politics. Do not get us started with cricket and politics. Thank you all for staying with us on this, our Independence Day, 58 years as an independent nation. Whatever we think about it, whatever our misgivings or so, it's still 58 years of independence. We can debate, we can critique, we can criticize, but we are 58 years old. Some of us grew up with independence. Happy independence to you Guyanese who are in the audience. And for those of you who are not Guyanese, please celebrate with us. Well, at least observe the independence anniversary with us. There's a holiday tomorrow in Guyana, but the show must go on. So I will be back tomorrow with politics. And so to you, the cricket audience tonight, I say thank you. Thank you for staying with us. You've been quite patient. And our guests, Vincent Adams and Basil Butcher, we want to thank them. And so I am going to see you all tomorrow with Politics 101. Politics 101. Be good. If you're going to take a little tux, do it with reason. And with all the craziness on the road, try not to overdo.
Rude boys gonna get you by degrees. Here comes the West Indies. And when you're facing the generals, nearly every ball is a funeral. And when we battle, brother, go and put your men on the boundary line. And if you give we a liquor, that is merely a hiccup. Look, you win the little battle, you lose the war. It's the same result every time. Everybody sing. Here comes the West Indies. Here come the West Indies. Them rude boys gonna get you by degrees. Here come the West Indies. I tell you now, here come the West Indies. Here come the West Indies. Them bad boys gonna bring you to your knees. Here come the West Indies. Special request to the Trinity posse. And what about the Guyana posse? And what about the Jamaica